So Colombia has canceled their main commencement ceremony due to the protests that have been funded by a non-surprising source. Let's talk about it. How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today we got to talk about Columbia University in New York canceling their main graduation commencement ceremony because of the protests that have happened over the past few days and weeks. Now, there are 19 colleges under Columbia, and there will be smaller commencement ceremonies for them. But the main one for Columbia has been canceled as a result of the protests. Now, this, as I've been saying before in previous videos and in live streams, this is not organic. Obviously, there's money behind it. Anytime you see people with some of the same talking points and you see some of the same people like Lisa Fithian, when you see them in the crowd, when you see these flyers and everything that looks kind of uniform, you know there's money behind it. Now, the million-dollar question is, why are these things being funded? Is it because of 2024 and it's election year and you got to have something to disrupt? You got to have something to make one side look good and the other side look bad? I can't call it because every single election year this happens. 2020, it was George Floyd, the so-called Summer of Love. 2016, Black Lives Matter, Heads Up, Don't Shoot, Freddie Gray, Michael Brown. 2024, now we have the college protests, not just at Columbia, but Yale and UCLA and everywhere else all over the country because of what? Israel and Gaza. I mean, look, I hope everybody over there is able to survive and does not suffer as a result of the war. But quite frankly, that's not our responsibility. That's not our problem. That's on them. Okay, let them handle their issues. And I would say the same thing for any nation. I don't care if they're black, white, Puerto Rican, the Kennedy stripe, Jewish, Christian, Muslim, non-religious, caveman, spaceman. It doesn't really matter to me. Let them handle their business. Now, there's quite a bit to discuss. The funding sources for these so-called protests, commencement ceremonies being canceled, and the details behind that. But first, a word from our sponsor. Despite everything the Fed has been trying and failing, we are still feeling the effects of inflation. Filling up your car, grocery shopping, home repairs, everything has become more expensive. And most of y'all are paying these bills with credit cards. Credit card debts are at an all-time high. And if you're a homeowner, there is a way out. You need to call my friends over at American Financing. They can put together a plan to pay off that high interest credit card debt and create meaningful savings for you every month. They are saving individuals just like you an average of $854 a month and closing in as fast as 10 days. Don't wait. Put yourself in a better financial position and call their salary-based mortgage consultants today. It costs nothing to get started. And if you start today, you could delay 2 mortgage payments, giving you greater savings up front. American Financing can help get that monkey off your back. 866-890-9313. Again, that's 866-890-9313, or visit AmericanFinancing.net, NMLS 182334, NMLSConsumerAccess.org. All right, now here's an article about Hillary Clinton funding the so-called climate protests. Now, I know the climate protests and the college protests are different things, but it's in the same ballpark, in my humble opinion. You have political groups funding these disruptive protests all over the country, maybe even all over the world. You see what's going on here. Hillary Clinton's nonprofit pushed $300,000 to a group financing unruly climate protests. And the subhead says the Climate Emergency Fund passes cash to extremist environmental groups worldwide, not just in the USA, but worldwide. So when you see these morons on the ground, blocking traffic, talking about don't run over me, it's my right to protest, all this and that, understand that these individuals are being funded. It's not organic. And then here's another one. This says Hillary Clinton group wired $500,000 to climate activists behind disruptive protests. Now, the first article said $300,000. This one says $500,000. The first one was from earlier this year. This is from just 3 days ago, May 3rd, 2024. So we see the general idea, the concept behind these protests. These are not organic, they're funded. And here's an article from just yesterday. It says pro-Palestinian protesters are backed by a surprising source, not surprising to those of us who have been listening, Biden's biggest donors. Some of the most outspoken groups against Biden and Israel get funding from foundations attached to some of the biggest names in Democratic circles, okay? So you see all these people here with their little signs and whatnot. You got to ask yourself, how many of these are homemade? They did a good job being able to find some that appear to be homemade. But the question is, are these individuals paid to be there? Are they given the stipend? Are they given food? Are they given an incentive to be there? That'd be a question. Let's keep on going. About 40 students at Washburn University staged a protest expressing support for Palestinians in Gaza and calling for a ceasefire in the war on May 3rd in Topeka, Kansas. This is all over the place, not just New York City, not just Los Angeles, California, all over the place. Now, check it out. Now, a lot of the people are calling Joe Biden Genocide Joe, but some of the groups behind the demonstration receive financial backing from philanthropists pushing hard for his reelection. Make that make sense, okay? I mean, these people are all over the place. Look, the donors include some of the biggest names in Democratic circles. You ready? George Soros, Rockefeller, and Pritzker, according to a political analysis. Two of the organizers supporting the protests at Columbia University and on other campuses are Jewish Voice for Peace and If Not Now. Both are supported by the Tides Foundation, which is seeded by Democratic mega donor George Soros and was previously supported by the Bill Melinda Gates Foundation. It in turn supports numerous small nonprofits that work for social change. Now, I'm not making this up. I'm reading it from Politico right here. And of course, I will link to the article in the box. I don't want to just say George Soros is the boogeyman and he's a cause to everything. But I mean, it's right here in black and white. So what more can I say? Soros declined to comment, of course. The Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, which has previously funded the Tides Foundation and other groups, said it no longer has active grants to Tides. It also does not support Jewish Voice for Peace and If Not Now. Another notable Democratic donor whose philanthropy has helped fund the protest movement is David Rockefeller Jr., who sits on the board of the Rockefeller Brothers Fund. In 2022, the fund gave $300,000. They got a number again to the Tides Foundation. According to nonprofit tax forms, Tides also given nearly $500,000 over the past 5 years to Jewish Voice for Peace, which explicitly describes itself as anti-Zionist. So there you have it. You got Democrats funding protests against Democrats while they want us to believe that it's organic. Now, these protests have done one thing, if not just for the disruption of college life, not just that, but other things. They've also successfully been able to cancel the commencement. Here's New York Times. After weeks of protests, Columbia cancels main commencement ceremony. Columbia's president had earlier said that she did not want to deprive students of an in-person celebration after many graduated high school during the pandemic. But no ceremony for you. There's going to be smaller ceremonies for the 19 colleges under its umbrella, but no main ceremony for Columbia. Now, here's a news clip. I'll play this right quick. And of course, I will link to everything in the box. But without further ado, let's go ahead and roll it.
We begin with breaking news out of Columbia, where the university has just announced it's canceling its main graduation ceremony. This, of course, amid the ongoing protests. Now, a statement posted online said, based on input and feedback from student leaders, the university has decided to focus attention on class days and school-level ceremonies, where students are honored individually alongside their peers within their schools, and instead to forego the university-wide big ceremony that had been scheduled for May 15th.
Now, why would they not have one big ceremony? Is the place where the ceremony normally would take place damaged somehow, or do they think that it would be a target for a big protest? Like, what's the science behind that?
The Post went on to say that the school is looking at the possibility of a festive event on that date to take place of the large formal ceremony, so they may still have something involving everybody. But for now...
Did they surrender? Did they surrender?
Well, but if it's based on student input, if the students are saying, hey, let's focus on our, like if it's the School of Arts, it's the dental school, they will still have their ceremonies just like planned.
All
they just
I
won't
know
have the big one.
is that the Mayor Adams, and Governor Hochul have been very, very specific about this. They wanted the graduations to go forward. Now, I don't know whether they wanted the big graduations to go forward, but they did not want it to seem like they were surrendering to the protesters, who some of them were unlawful.
But
they most certainly did surrender. I will link to the rest of this video in the box, but you get the idea. No more big ceremony for Columbia. They're going to have the smaller one, probably because they don't want to have the big one be a target for more of the so-called protests, which are funded by Democratic organizations. Nobody conservative involved. This is left on left. The left always eats their own. But as I close, I want to say this. I don't know what the purpose of these so-called protests are, aside from election year, aside from maybe they just want to push the Biden administration to do something that they don't want to do. I don't think it's really going to work. I think more than anything, it's an election year. And it's like the money always frees up right around this time to cause some kind of disturbance in the USA. And I think many of us have become fatigued, and we're kind of tired of seeing this kind of behavior play itself out every single election time. But I think I'll leave that right there for now. And what say you? What's your thoughts on Columbia, basically, as the news lady said, surrendering to the protesters? Whatever your thoughts are, let me know in the comments below. How about the protests being funded? Are you surprised? Did you expect that? Is it pretty much obvious? Whatever your thoughts are, let me know in the comments below. You guys know where I'm at. I'm not surprised at anything. I'm not surprised at Columbia surrendering. I'm not surprised that they're funded, because it's obvious. And at a certain point, I don't need anybody to confirm an obvious thing, although it is good to get the confirmation. So we know we're not going crazy. We know we're not the ones who are losing our minds. It's them, not us. But whatever your thoughts are, please let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.